a secret. Now, why would you describe a newspaper article as highly confidential and still a secret, saying as president you could have declassified it, but now you can't?
Let me just tell you something. Number one, I did nothing wrong because I come under the Presidential Records Act. The fascists who are going after me, and they're not going after Biden, even though he has about 10 times more documents, maybe more than that. He has documents going back 40 years or 50 years. We did nothing wrong. I come under the Presidential Records Act. I'm allowed to have these documents. This was done in 1978, and this was done for exactly this reason. I'm allowed to have these documents. The other side didn't even mention that. They don't even mention the words Presidential Records Act. The Presidential Records Act is very important. Bill Clinton took out in his Sox, it's called the Sox case, where a very respected judge, very liberal judge, but a very respected judge, ruled in favor of Bill Clinton that he was allowed to take these very important documents, conversations with world leaders, took it out in his socks, and they found them in his sock drawer, and they call it the Sox case. Other people too. We come under the Presidential Records Act. Now, who doesn't is Mike Pence doesn't, because he was a vice president, and he has a much higher standard. Joe Biden doesn't, because he was a vice president at the time and he was a senator. He's got thousands of documents as a senator. And even I watched a couple of Democrat senators say very strongly, there's no way he took that out from the SCIF. He's got documents and he's fighting them like crazy. I come under the Presidential Records Act. It's a very simple thing. Number one, it's civil. It's not criminal at all. Sure. These fascists and these Marxists and these people that are dealing, and they leak and they're disgusting people. They're horrible for the country. We have a deranged guy named Jack Smith who's been overturned at the Supreme Court a number of times, and he gets overturned. You know why he gets overturned? Because he goes too far. They don't even mention the Presidential Records Act. This is all about the Presidential Records Act. I'm allowed to have these documents. I'm allowed to take these documents, classified or not classified, and frankly, when I have them, they become unclassified. People think you have to go through a ritual. You don't. At least in my opinion, you don't. But it's even beyond that, because the Presidential Records Act allows you to do as president, only as president. Now, the other people that we talk about, including Biden, he wasn't president. So what he did is a different standard, and he should have real problems. They really should be talking about that, not about me. I did absolutely nothing wrong.
Okay, but let's get to my question. Why would you be holding up a newspaper saying this is still secret?
I'd have to look at it.
I could declassify it if I were president.
I would have to look at it.
But that's what you told Bret Baier. You told Bret Baier that was a newspaper.
I could have declassified. No, I also told Bret Baier, as I remember, I don't know, it was a long time interview.
Well, you tell me, what were you waving around?
I also told Bret Baier that it wasn't a classified document.
What were you waving around in that meeting? Because it certainly sounds
I'm not going to talk to you about that, because that's already been, I think, very substantiated, and there's no problem with it.
It hasn't been substantiated. Jack Smith says
Megan,
it was
let me just tell you.
You told Bret Baier.
Let me tell you. Here we go again. I'm covered by the Presidential Records Act. I'm allowed to do what I want to do. I'm allowed to have documents. The Presidential Records Act is civil, not criminal.
That's
in any way. It's civil.
True.
And I'm covered by it 100%.
Can I ask you what you
and this shouldn't even be a case. Now,
I'm
it should be a case.
I'm not trying to come at you criminally.
Of
I'm
course,
trying to
of
say.
course you are. But listen,
I
it
started
should
out
be
by saying
Megan, let me just
it's not about the criminal.
This should be a case for Biden, because he is not covered by the Presidential Records Act. This was, I guess, started because Richard Nixon kept documents. So did many other presidents. And so did presidents after. Bush kept documents. Obama kept documents. They all had, in fact, of all people, of all groups, the New York Times wrote a story. The only power that NARA has is to say, please, 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 Mr. President, can we have these documents?
The National Archives.
Okay? Now, they may be able to sue you civilly, not criminally. They may be. They don't even have that power, probably. But they may be able. But
So
listen, the New York Times.
I get all that. But the obstruction case isn't about that. The obstruction case says, so even if you had the right to the documents, once you get the subpoena, you got to fork them over. The subpoena said, give us anything with a classified marking. Go ahead.
This is just like the Mueller stuff. They create a fake crime, and then they say you obstructed. This is a fake thing that they've done. And then they say it's always obstruction. They say, oh, he obstructed, he this, he that. And you know what they call obstruction? When you fight them. When you fight them, they call it obstruction. So they create a fake crime because there was no crime, because I come under it. I don't want to sound boring to all of your many people. I hope you have a lot of people. You will. But you know what? They create a fake crime. And they did that with Mueller. They created a fake crime, a terrible fake thing that took 2 years. And then they said, all right, that's fake, but he obstructed. That's what they do here. They have a fake crime, and I didn't obstruct anything. Okay, next.
Well, that was my question, that, you know, even if I think they're accusing me of a fake crime, if I get a subpoena, I have to comply. I used to practice law for 10 years. You gotta comply. You gotta fork over the documents and then fight.
I have complied with everything. I have given more documents, and they came in, they raided Mar-a-Lago, probably illegally, okay? And we'll find that out. They took documents that they weren't even allowed to do, but they took documents, they took everything.
They found documents.
And I would have given it to them. You know what? We had a meeting. I said, what do you want? And instead of doing that, because they're doing this for political reasons, the reason they're doing this is for election interference.
So let me just say, I don't dispute that, frankly. But the question is simply, your lawyers signed a certification saying they turned over everything that was responsive. Then when the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago, they found documents that were responsive that had not been produced, marked classified.
I don't know what the timing is. Again, I'd have to check the time. I don't know. I just don't know the timing.